transfer mechanism, which is positioning, and it is going to happen already. And so if you think about this, we're getting the repeats of what we saw. Global financial crisis, 2008, socializing of losses, privatization. Again, who were the net winner? BlackRock ended up with their vast ETF structure. JP Morgan ended up getting bailout money. Goldman Sachs was reclassified as a retail bank so that it could get the additional money that it's needed. And the US taxpayer paid for it. Massive concentration. The Fed started using Aladdin, BlackRock's technology. The Treasury started using it during COVID in 2020. What happened during COVID in 2020? Mass lockdowns, technical industrial complex, supply chains based upon large multinational, transnational corporations, mass bankruptcies of small business, massive concentration, ginormous wealth transfer, those that went into debt, ginormous bankruptcies. And so you end up with debt increasing, technical dependency increasing, and then you do stimulus checks, which effectively support the market. But those that are deep in debt, they just pay off some of their bank debts. That goes into, refinancing their debt, or they put it in financial markets if they've got surplus. And the only way to survive is to put it in financial markets. So you get massive concentration. 2022, Ukraine war, we saw massive oil price shock. That led to inflation. Fed said inflation transitory. They didn't react. They reacted so fast. The bonds went from 0% to a high yield environment that broke Silicon Valley Bank. That led to a new FDIC takeover of various banks, and then massive money printing as a result of all of them. 2026, the Iran war and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the result will be exactly the same. We are going to have inflation. We're going to have asset concentration. We're going to have, private equity, distress acquisition, removal of more privatization, less state power, more debt dependency, more debt expansion, complete concentration of wealth into the hands of a fewer and fewer people. Those who own the assets win if they've got the right assets, and those with the debt become the product and become the dependencies. It is a road to serfdom, as it were. It is the 1984 Orwellian nightmare. And what is it leading to? It's leading back to what I called in week 4 the foundation of the Build Back Better phase. And that is the next predictions. There is already an energy crisis, which leads to a policy response, which leads to demand reduction from energy, which means that people choose between eating and heating. Their expenses go up. They have to give more and more on the basics. This leads to behavioral changes. You stop driving. You work from home. You get more dependency upon technology. You start, and then eventually that leads to reduced consumption. And reduced consumption means that you get these IEA, Energy Association, whatever it's called, style types of measures, where you get, just like during COVID, you had the World Health Organization setting the global narrative as written by policy and NGOs from World Economic Forum for the very same transnational global institutions that benefit from it. So they're going to be telling you, do less travel, do less driving, lower energy usage, lower consumption, and that leads to the global reset that is inevitable, predictable, and guaranteed from here, even if the strait gets open today. And so the escalation path that I see it, that I think we're going to be going through, is energy reduction, demand reduction, and then that's going to behavioral control. Who does that benefit? The technical industrial complex. So we're going to have digital enforcement. We're going to have the accelerating of the control layer. Any civil unrest will lead to pre-crime arrests, social credit scores, digital IDs, carbon tracking, tokenized consumption, programmable money, stable coins, central bank digital currencies, an acceleration of programmable energy usage, tokenization. We already got the Genius Act. There was delays around the Clarity Act because the banks want to be able to pay the yield. There's a bit of a debate going on there, but the mass creation or moving forward of surveillance systems, just like 9/11 already had Patriot Act. We've already got Clarity Act. We've got the big, beautiful bill. We've got massive bailouts and stimmy checks for the military industrial complex, another $200 billion. A banks pushing pressure on Clarity Act, so there's stable coins, and a transition from basically a war economy to a massive pump in the market by crashing the price of oil, getting those yields down into a control grid, and then that inflation recycle and demand destruction that we've said. So we now have new deadlines. And I said every day this goes on for, the more severe that impact will be. And so the deadlines that we have is that I always said this has to be over by the time and is leading up to the Xi Jinping and Trump China summit meeting. It was announced, and Trump announced it on Truth Social, that it's no longer happening in April, which was just around the corner, a couple of weeks away. It's now been delayed for May 14th and 15th. I think the fact that it's been announced is very positive rather than cancelled, which plays into my belief that this is what it's leading to. But it's moved from April, meaning that we're going to have more severe impact rather than, and we've got more negotiations and more things to follow. So I think we're going to be doing a few more weeks here. But it's not finalized yet. And so what I thought would be a 12-day war probably is going to end up being a 2-month war. And the impacts is going to be huge. He's going to have to come up with tools to calm the bond market, calm oil prices. Already they've done sanctions. Already they've done the taco trade. So what else is there? The more severe that gets, the more radical action, and then the more concessions that can be set for these final negotiations to apply pressure. But it sets a time frame for the settlement. And really the final synthesis of everything is that this was never about nuclear weapons. Being 2 weeks away was a cartoon character for strategic tension in Operation Gladio in order to justify the forever war model between the strategic tension between Iran and Israel to prop up the petrodollar, profit from war, and effectively it relied upon America being a global hegemon and Israel being an outpost for the military industrial complex. Now China's put up against that. That doesn't exist. We've reset the world order. It's been negotiated, and Trump is here to execute it. It's not about a territorial, patriotic, nationalistic victory. It's not about saving Iranians because America cares about overthrowing the brutal regime. The IRGC, I think, is still going to be there. It is all about energy routes. It's all about renegotiating contracts, force majeure, capital flows, new system control grids, and a global reset.